Hi guys, I'm Maylin Dovan, certified athletic therapist and founder of Rehab-U Movement and Performance Therapy. We're in part 2 of our capsule on prerequisites for overhead lifting. In part 1 of this capsule, I discussed how the venue of CrossFit and boot camp training and group training has mobilized a lot of people who were previously sedentary to start training, which is a wonderful thing, but it's sometimes necessary to ease into overhead training, given that we, in sedentary lifestyle or in activities of daily living, we rarely go into a strict overhead position. So we had screening involved in part 1 of this capsule, and now we're going to look at also movement screening as a prerequisite to overhead movement. So what we want to look at, and there are 2 functional positions of the shoulders, and if you've seen my capsule on functional positions of the shoulder that you need to own, there is a mobility position that is what's required for a full overhead press, and then a more stability position, so what's required if I'm holding something overweight for some time and I now need to take a little bit of that mobility and limit it voluntarily so that I can have a more stable position. So we can screen for both of those positions with and without instability using these 4 quick little screens. So the position that I'm going to use for Mike is a half kneeling position. Why do I use the half kneeling position? What I want to do is I want to know if he can do a strict press, so a strict shoulder overhead press without any compensation. So I'm taking away all the compensations that he could use. I'm taking away the possibility for him to extend through the lower spine. I'm taking away the possibility for him to let his hips come forward by putting him in this half kneeling position. So I'm essentially isolating a little bit what I want to look at. So he's going to go into half kneeling. And here I want to see, and you could do this with a dumbbell, I want to see, can he do a strict press in this position? And can he get the bicep in line with the ear? So does he get full range of motion in his press? Can he keep his head not tilted towards it? Good. So does he get that 180 degrees? And can he do that without any compensation anywhere else? Right? And now, in an ideal world, you want to see if they can do this with their stability challenge. So we're going to hold the kettlebell bottoms up, and now we want to see the same thing. Can he still get that press in that same position, 180 degrees of flexion, no compensation in through here, no movement of the head? All right? You can take a break there, Mike. Now, second position is when we need to hold things overhead. So we're going to use the 2 same movements, but now he's going to hold the top position. So stable, holding the top position. So when he's holding, what he's going to need to do is, now he's using the same weight that he could press, but typically sometimes you'll hold a weight that's quite a bit more heavy. And when we hold, now we're not going to be at that end range of the press. We're going to take that back a little bit, and there's a slight retraction and depression to create that stable base for a hold. So we want to see, is he able to create that stable base for a hold with the same position? He's good here. And then we could take that further and say, is he able to do that with his stability challenge? So we go bottoms up again. Is he able to do that hold? Now he's taking that mobility and he's just limiting it slightly, slight retraction and depression, and is he able to hold that position without compensation? Good. So 4 simple little exercises that you can use to screen with a load. Now that I've screened in the first part of the capsule, does my client have the mobility requirements for overhead movement? And if they don't, there are other capsules where I've addressed and assessed that. And then in this part of the capsule, how I can see if they're ready to load that overhead movement. Can they stay organized? Can they keep that mobility together? Can they create that stability to do strict overhead movement before they go into more complex movements?